League of Legends can be split into two distinct categories. You have macro, which is your big picture map movement, and you have micro, which is your raw mechanical skill. But what if you could completely remove the micro? What if instead of trying to outplay your opponent, you just let a bunch of AI controlled minions do the heavy lifting while you comfortably sit back and eat your lunch? Well, lucky for you, there is a semi-hidden page on the LoL wiki titled Pets. By definition, they are artificially intelligent champion summoned units that are able to assist you on the battlefield. So basically your teammates, if they were actually capable of solving a Montessori toy designed for a toddler. Now, based on that definition, you might get baited into thinking Azir Sun Soldiers, Fiddlesticks Effigies, or Kindred's Wolf count as actual independent pets. I think I don't need to explain why that isn't the case. They are incapable of doing the work for you. Azir Soldiers are just shiny extension cords for his basic attacks. Fiddlesticks clones just stand still to sweep wards, and Kindred's Wolf is entirely bound to a stationary circle, acting more like a static Q cooldown refund zone rather than a real summon. It makes more sense to think of them as wards rather than pets. The next logical sequence of looking at champion pets would be to look at Ivan's Days and Annie's Tibbers. On paper, a giant rock monster or a flaming bear sounds incredibly strong. In reality, their potential strength is completely linear. They aren't independent pets. They are ultimately just another spell button inside a basic burst combo. You press R, you dump your burst, and if the enemy team survives, your pet's AI reverts back to the cognitive capacity of your average teammate. You are forced to buy expensive AP items just to make them threatening, but you are still not creating a standalone threat. You're just giving the enemy team a slow target to easily smite and kite away. Then we have the Swarm Commanders, Malzahar and Naafiri. If you want to win the mental game against your enemy laner, this might be the answer. Malzahar's Voidlings are a great distraction and the perfect tool to constantly reapply all the item's passives that naturally fit his build. Just make sure to ban Smolder when trying him out. You don't want to see how this matchup turns out. Trust me on this one. On the other hand, do not skip over Naafiri. Her dogs aren't just a damage tool. They act as one of the best skill shot shields in the entire game. It's like having a moving minion wave follow you around for the sole purpose of blocking incoming Blitzcrank hooks or Ahri charms. Your normal build also complements their damage scaling, but they still lack the pure independent pressure we are searching for. Heimerdinger and Shaco came close. Heimerdinger's entire kit already revolves around his turrets, giving you a massive extra tool to melt anyone who steps close with his ultimate. But he fails our blueprint because his pets completely lack mobility. You are forced to play strictly around wherever you originally placed them, and if the fight moves a few inches away, you are stuck chasing after your own setup. If you want real mobility, look at AD Crit Shaco. We exploit a mechanical loophole where the clone permanently locks in your Hell of Blades attack speed for its entire duration if you cast your ultimate while the rune is active. By rushing crit and lethality, your clone inherits those exact raw stats, giving it a higher single target DPS than your actual champion. And if you want to keep finding out about these kinds of hidden interactions, make sure to hit that subscribe button, no pressure though. But none of these champions seem to fully fit the solo functioning independent pet criteria, which brings us to the ultimate pet overload, max damage Yorick. Normal players build Yorick as a traditional boring juggernaut. That is a massive waste of his pet's potential. Yorick's ghouls and dead wife that haunts him during his sleep and for the rest of his days on his miserable and pointless search of something to replace the aching pain that her death caused him, or something, I haven't read his lore, scale massively with his AD. Because his pet scaling is so absurdly high, you actually can run two completely unique builds that transform his cross-map threat depending on who you are playing against. The first setup is the full assassin lethality build, which you lock in whenever the enemy team drafts squeezy carries. For the runes, we take Dark Harvest for the scaling. For the items, we rush Hubris first. Now you can start farming permanent attack damage, creating a snowball that never stops the ghoul scaling. Second, we build Voltaic Cyclosword, utilizing its energized passive to apply an immediate slow on our ghoul's attacks. Then, to amplify the slow even further, we buy Seralda's Grudge, and we round out the setup with Yomus and Umbral to maximize our lethality. The second you land a single E, your pets jump across the screen and instantly delete the enemy carry before they can even flash away. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. If the enemy team drafts unkillable tanks and bruisers, that flat lethality falls off. This is where we pivot to the second variation. For this setup, we are abusing the newly returned Deathfire touch. We are choosing Deathfire touch because the continuous ability damage from your ghouls and maiden constantly trigger and refresh the keystone, which in addition to Black Cleaver serves as an instant armor shred. The first item is Titanic Hydra, giving us the ideal stats and helping with the early game wave clear. Second, we build Spear of Shoji because its passive grants up to 12% increased basic ability damage, directly amplifying the raw output of your ghouls. Third, we grab Black Cleaver for the instant 24% armor shred we talked about earlier. Fourth, we buy Overlord's Bloodmoon, which is the biggest raw AD spike of the build. And we finish with Sterax Gauge for that extra bear survivability. With either blueprint, you don't even need to be on the same side of the map as the fight. You can literally summon the maiden in the bottom lane, go take a walk in real life, and return to see that your pets have single-handedly taken down an inner tower and secured a double kill. Basically the definition of passive income.